What's the deal with your boy Love1orHate1 in the building with your boy Gil, and we back at y'all with another radio call. You already know how we get down. We finna cook, and we got an interesting topic between Zhilei Zhang and Agit Kabayel. This fight right here is really tricky. In my opinion, I got Zhang winning this fight, but mainly because Zhang, I've seen him tested more. I've seen Zhang in some serious fights. Agit Kabayel hasn't really been tested like that. Yeah, he had a good win over Frank Sanchez. But, man, the guy that been in the trenches more to me is Zhilei Zhang. But one thing I hate about Zhilei Zhang, it seems like to me, like, after 6 rounds, he be spent. It's like if he don't get you out of there within 6 rounds, you can really damn near stop Zhilei Zhang. But Zhilei Zhang do got a good chin. He's very durable. And he's in there to win, and I respect that. But I haven't seen Agit Kabayel face a puncher like Zhilei Zhang. Zhilei Zhang got like some wilder type of power. Like, he can sweep you with one punch. And based off that alone, I got Zhilei Zhang winning this fight. And I know Agit Kabayel, he's tough. But that's who I'm rolling with in this fight. What's your thoughts on it, Gil?
My thoughts are this, bro. I think that you stated the key. If you take him into the later rounds, I believe it's going to be easy for Kabayel to win because, like you said, he runs out of gas. Mm-hmm. So after the 6th round is where we're going to see who's going to take it. Because to me, Kabayel's the younger guy, has more energy. He could take it after 6. So you just got to manage, be able to move around, not get hurt with nothing crazy early. And I believe he has a good chance to take it. It's just, like you said, it's the power, the skill that he has, Zhang has early.
Yeah.
That makes him tricky because, like you said, he has a lot of power, one punch power. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's very tricky. And I respect that analysis. It's a very tricky fight, man, because Agit Kabayel, he could punch too. He got a little power over there too. But one thing about Agit Kabayel, I don't see the one punch just get you up out of there type of power like Zhilei Zhang got. But hey, like you said, and I agree with you, and I said it too earlier too. Like, shit, one thing about Zhilei Zhang, after 6 rounds, man, you could see it all in his body language. That man be spent, very spent. So Agit Kabayel can take advantage of that. But I'm gonna go ahead and stick with my guns. I'm gonna pick Zhilei Zhang to win this fight, as long as Zhilei Zhang don't overlook him. Because one thing about Zhilei Zhang, he do overlook fighters. It's like he just know he's gonna get rid of you. He did the same shit with Parker and he lost. He did the same shit with Wilder, and he's doing the same shit with Agit Kabayel. It's like he just know the bomb is gonna land in the fight, and that could be his downfall, man. But
here's the thing, bro.
Go ahead.
Nobody's talking about it, but it's his age, bro. Because once you hit 40 and you go beyond that, one fight could expose you. So that's where it gets interesting to me. Because what if he gets old in one night and you just see it? So I believe Kabayel has a good chance. It's just that one punch power you were talking about that it makes it difficult to forecast the fight.
Hey, that's a good point, man. Because one thing about Zhilei Zhang, he's old for boxing. We know 41 in boxing is old. So we do got to take that into consideration. But one thing about Zhilei Zhang, and I hate to bring race up in boxing, but a lot of those Asian fighters, and I think we talked about this off air too, Gil. Them Asian fighters, man, it seemed like they age later than other races, man. I don't know. People like to say black don't crack and shit like that, but it seems like it's kind of similar with Asians. And another thing about Zhilei Zhang is you don't really hear about him smoking and drinking. You don't hear about him partying too much or shit like that. It sounds to me like he's really dedicated to boxing. But the one big weakness, and I feel like Agit Kabayel could exploit this, is the fact that Zhilei Zhang be gassed after 6 rounds. So I'm gonna roll with Zhilei Zhang. I think Zhilei Zhang could take it. But
let me ask you this, bro. Do you think he could get better with his cardio? I don't know because of his age.
At his age,
I mean,
nah.
like you say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something he could do. I mean, as far as training, that can help him. I just don't see it.
I'm gonna keep the only thing he can do. This is the only thing he can do. He can try to save stamina, and not throw so many punches in the first 6 rounds, because that's one thing about Zhilei Zhang too. He goes for the kill, and that's another reason why he be spent too, because he basically threw all his hardest punches early in the fight. The only way I feel like he can kind of fix it a little bit, like you say, for his age, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. The only way I think he can fix it a little bit is if he conserve energy in the beginning of the fight. Like, don't go for the kill early. Don't save some gas for the later parts of the fight. And that's the only way. Other than that, man, I don't see no way he can fix that. And Agit Kabayel is a guy that thrives. He gets stronger as the fight progresses. You know?
That's why I gave him the edge in this one. Mm-hmm. Because I believe his trainers are going to try to tell him to counter a little bit more, try to frustrate Zhang, and then in the later rounds, go for it. You know?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But one thing about Zhilei Zhang, he has a good chin. You gotta think about it. Wilder cracked him a few times. He didn't go nowhere. He fought Filip Hrgovic. He's a puncher. He didn't hurt Zhilei Zhang. Well, he hurt him a few times, but he didn't stop him. And those are 2 guys that I feel like hits harder than Agit Kabayel. But Agit Kabayel has sneaky power. So, hey, Zhilei Zhang is in a real fight. And
can he go to the body? I mean, have you seen him take a body punch?
That's a good. Joseph Parker went downstairs to the body on Zhilei Zhang, and he scored a lot of punches that way. But Joseph Parker don't hit as hard as Agit Kabayel. So, hey, that's a good one right there. But if I'm Agit Kabayel, he has to start early with the body shots. I'm talking about round 1.
I think that's the key when you're fighting an older fighter, because you got to test him to the body and see how much he could really take.
Right. Mm-hmm. But this is we're getting deep. We're getting deep. Watch this, Gil, because the more a fighter go downstairs, that's the best way to counter. And Zhilei Zhang is a counter puncher.
Good point.
Yeah, one thing about going downstairs, okay, especially if you don't got the best head movement. Like Canelo, he does it really slick and he backs up real fast before you can land your counter. And Agit Kabayel, he's not slow, but I don't know if he's going to be able to avoid, especially in the early rounds, I don't know if he's going to be able to avoid those counters, man. Because when he goes downstairs, you got to understand, you're reaching. You're going downstairs. That's the biggest way a fighter can counter. That's why a lot of fighters don't like going downstairs, because they know they can get countered up top.
But I will say this: if you jab early to the body, it might get them thinking, lower the hands to stop that jab.
That's true.
That's when you hit them up top. So
hey, that's true. That's true. That's very true. Which is why I say this fight is so tricky. This fight is very, very tricky, because it depends how both fighters come out. But one thing about Zhilei Zhang is he has that eraser. I got Zhilei Zhang as being the hardest puncher right now in the heavyweight division. Well, okay, you do got some punchers. You got Wilder, you got Dubois, Anthony Joshua could punch, even Usyk could punch. But Zhilei Zhang got some scary power, man. And Agit Kabayel has not faced a puncher like Zhilei Zhang in his career.
I'll say it like this: if he could do something in the first 3 rounds, I think Zhang can win, right? Mm-hmm. But after the first 3 rounds, I think Kabayel will take control of it if he can get that far.
I can see that too. I can see that. I swear. Matter of fact, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I feel like if Agit Kabayel can make it past 5 or 6, especially if he applied that body work like you were speaking about earlier, yes, I'm gonna go out on a limb. He probably could even stop Zhilei Zhang late because Zhilei Zhang almost got stopped by what's the fighter name? Oh, the one he drew with. And he's not even a puncher. He almost stopped Zhilei Zhang late, but it was a 10-round fight. I'm not sure. Do you know if this is a 10-round fight or not?
No, I'm not sure either. That's why I was wondering. Like, what was your take on it?
Yeah, I gotta check because it should be a 10-rounder because I don't think a belt is on the line.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I think if it's a 10-rounder, I'm really going with Zhilei Zhang. But if it's a 12, yeah, I think Kabayel could take it. But one thing about Zhilei Zhang, I've seen him get outboxed before too, because a lot of times Zhilei Zhang, he depends on that power, and that's where he fucks up at some time. But he's a counter puncher with his power. It's not like he's just going in there brawling. He's like waiting for you to make a mistake and wham.
He'll jump on you when you make a mistake. That's what makes him dangerous.
Yeah. And he's okay, man. Zhilei Zhang, he's not a brawler. He's a calculator brawler. That's what I like to call it.
That's actually really smart.
Yeah, it is.
It helps you. Well, it helps him at his age, and that's what makes him so dangerous. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when you have a gas tank that ain't so great, you could kind of exploit that as his opponent.
Right, and that's how he lost to Parker. Parker, he was up. He dropped Parker in the first 6 or 7 rounds. He dropped Parker like 2 times. And then what? Parker took advantage of, him getting gassed out. But, hey, if your life depended on it, Gil, who you rolling with? It sound like Agit, huh?
Yeah. I think he's the younger guy. He has more energy.
Yeah.
I think if he could get past the first 3 rounds, he's got a legitimate chance to take it, but you never know because that one punch power is the ultimate eraser.
Exactly. Yep. And same thing here. If you had a gun to my head, or if my life depended on it, I will be rolling with Zhilei Zhang. But don't get me wrong, this is not one it's not a clear visual. Like, I see this as a 50-50 fight, but the more the fight progress, it's gonna be scary for Zhilei Zhang. It's gonna be scary. So if he can't get him up out of there early, then Zhilei Zhang's gonna be in trouble. Unless go ahead.
Good point. I mean, because I think it starts getting more difficult when you start needing more air to be able to do things. Right?
Yeah. And then one thing about Zhilei Zhang, now you make some good points too, Gil. Shit, we both cooking. One thing about Zhilei Zhang that I hate too, some fighters be tired, but they kind of know how to disguise it. Zhilei Zhang, on the other hand, you can see him breathing hard, like he take deep breaths, like in the later parts of the fight. You can tell he's spent. Like his
facial expressions, you can tell because of his face.
His face
laboring to breathe.
Yeah, his face, his body, his whole body language, and him taking them deep ass fucking breaths, man. Like, and a good fighter, they can exploit that. And Agit Kabayel is a good fighter, so man, it's gonna be scary, man. I didn't think he was gonna beat. I picked against Agit Kabayel in his last fight too, and I lost that one too. But Zhang is a different fighter, and he hits harder than Frank Sanchez. So yeah, this is a good one. Any more final thoughts on it?
I think I'm done, man. I honestly think Kabayel, if he takes it past the 3 rounds, I think he's got it, but it's going to be difficult before then. So,
yeah, you say 3? I think Zhilei Zhang, I think he's good for at least a good 4 or 5 rounds before he really gets tired.
We'll see. I honestly think 3. If he has the right game plan, like goes to the body a little bit, mixes it up, but if it's straight headshots, I think Zhang has a better chance than what people think.
I got you. And plus, like you said earlier, Zhilei Zhang can get old overnight. That can happen. So if he gets old overnight, he's not going to win. So let's just hope he got a few more good fights left in the tank so he can at least make it a good fight. But Agit Kabayel, he's undefeated. He got that undefeated mindset. And damn, it's crazy because out of the 2 heavyweight bouts that's going on that night, we both disagree, but it's still a respectable disagreement because you got Parker, I got Danny Dubois, and you got Agit Kabayel, and I got, Zhilei Zhang. But it's
Yep.
like I said, it's a respectable disagreement. It's not like we can't see the shit going the other
other's
way.
point, yeah, because I can see your points, man, but it's something about his age and his gas tank that has always caused me issues. I've always thought they had to fix his cardio for him to do something, but at his age, I don't know if he could do anything different that would actually matter.
Right, you may be onto something there because the fight, like I said, the fights that he did lose. What's his name? Brian Shaw, I think that's his name. Man, Brian Shaw is not a puncher. He almost stopped Zhilei Zhang late. If that was a 12-round fight, Zhilei Zhang would have got stopped from pure exhaustion. So if Agit Kabayel takes a page out of that book, he can't stop Zhilei Zhang. But the problem with Zhilei Zhang is you want him in a 12-round fight. If it's a 10 round, I'm going to check, but if it's a 10-rounder, yeah, I think Zhilei Zhang has more of a bigger chance because he does know how to survive too a little bit, but that's nor here nor there. It sounds like we both basically got our points across in that one. Yeah, but that's it for me.
That's it for me, too.